This is Lizzie from Let Zoe Spoil You.
And Sagira from Sagira Salutes You. And together, we are Newbie versus Weeaboo. Sagira, Newbie.
Lizzie, a weeaboo.
It's Newbie versus Weeaboo.
Hello!
Hello, hello.
Hello, yes. I don't know why I'm so happy. Everything I've just watched is horrific. But yay!
Probably because you finally got some answers and know what's happening.
True. Only a few answers, not lots and lots, but yeah, because for those listening, we finished the series of Neon Genesis Evangelion, and we are now on to the film called The End of Evangelion, and you can't get more final than that, as it is the end.
Definitely the end.
Definitely. So we're popping onto the film now, and this film, basically anything that made us mad about the end of the series it comes out in the film, basically, and it does answer some of the questions. However, the film is an hour 30 long. We are doing an hour podcast on a 20-minute episode. So we have decided to cut this into two and do part one in this podcast, and then we'll do part two in another one, because there's so much to talk about. It's ridiculous. I haven't watched the second part yet because I want to watch it just before we do the recording so that I have all the emotions still. But yeah, I want to watch it so badly with where part one cuts off. Oh my goodness. Oh, the pain and the drama and the emotions and oh my goodness.
Yeah. It's pretty harrowing. I remember when I watched it the first time and I was like, oh, Jesus. And yeah, some of it has stayed with me 20 years later. Some of it's still like some of the most haunting stuff I've ever seen.
The imagery is just amazing, and it does give you all the feels. But let's get into it. Instead of just being cryptic about it, let's actually talk about it. The End of Evangelion. We start with a bunch of sponsors and production people. There's about 20 companies working on this bloody thing. It's like, have you seen that Family Guy sketch where they go to the cinema and they keep thinking that the film's starting, but it's just another production company?
Yeah.
That's what this felt like. It's like, we're starting. Oh no, it's different. Oh, was that? No, it's not. And then Sega is a part of it. I know that one. I know Sega.
Yeah, a lot of different people sponsored the making of this movie, but a lot of people had tie-in merchandise with it. Like Sega was responsible for the arcade games and things like that. So there was a lot of people to go, these are all the people that helped make this movie a possibility.
So if you want to skip all that, just jump forward about 2 minutes. Jesus. When it finally gets there, it opens with a beautiful glistening water effect of the lake, and it looks like the area where Shinji met Karu. So this lake is obviously a very special spot now because it's got a lot of meaning behind it. It's not just somewhere to hide HQ. And we see a boy stood by the water. His eyes are concealed by a fringe, looking at the what? Oh, okay. I was trying to be all poetic and I've
looking at the lake.
No, let me start again because this is really poetic, okay? We see a boy stood by the water, eyes concealed by his fringe, looking at the debris that is a torn Tokyo 3. Heat waves to show the temperature is high and the ruins are still falling to their watery tomb. Yeah!
Oh, what a beautiful description. Yeah.
Poetic. So, do we know this boy?
That's
Is
Shinji.
it Shinji?
Yeah.
It's Shinji. He's got a weird shaped head.
Yeah, well, have you noticed how all the characters look a little bit older in this one? They finally realised that they needed to age them up from their 14-year-old self to their 15-year-old self, so they're all just looking a little bit older than themselves.
Yes, that is true. They do look older, but yeah, his heads look weird. It looked like it was a completely different person. I thought it was Shinji, but then I was like, is it though?
Yeah.
So we're in the Nerve Medical Unit, and Shinji stood by Asuka's bed. And he keeps asking for help. He's asking Masato, he's asking Ray. He just wants someone to help him at this point because what happened previously?
This is basically set just before the last two episodes, 25 and 26. So it's
that's what I'm trying to work out what happened before.
So he's just killed Karu.
That's why.
And Asuka's in the hospital having been brain whammied by the previous angel.
Yes, I'm just trying to figure out why Shinji looked so defeated and why he is the way he is in this episode. And yeah, it's because he just killed his best friend, the only person who to ever actually love him. And yeah, so that's why he's so defeated in this. But he's next to Asuka's bed and he's asking her to help him and he wants someone to help him. And then he starts shaking and pulling her. And eventually he rolls her over so hard that all the medical tabs fall off her and she's lying there still and exposed. And when I say exposed, her top has fallen open. Now, this bit
Yeah.
Everything is really still and quiet. To me, at first, it showed that no one was there to help. Like, Shinji is alone. So what does one do when one is alone?
And he's just seen a pair of boobs.
Yes. Now, I had to watch this twice because the first time I watched it, it was silent. And because Shinji's so upset, you just assume he's crying. And then you see him looking at his hand full of splooge.
Yeah.
So then I rewound it and I listened again. I was like, nope, that is definitely someone having a good time with themselves.
Yes.
So, yes, Shinji is enjoying himself over Asuka's
comatose body.
Comatose body, yeah. And afterwards, after looking at his hand, he says that he hates himself. And he should.
Is that the line he says? I hate myself. In the Japanese, is I'm the lowest of the low. Showing that it's
along those lines.
He's hit the absolute lowest point he could possibly get to now.
Yeah, he should, to be honest.
Yes, I was going to say, Shinji, there's a line and you crossed it. You absolute dickbag.
In a way, it was kind of like he was trying to, he's trying to comfort himself, you know, give himself a slight moment of joy, but he did it in the most perverted and
messed up way.
Having a good time over your comatose friend who's gone through trauma. Don't do that.
No.
You're in the same position. If you just killed your angel friend and are trying to find comfort in your comatose friend who has no way of defending themselves, don't splooge over them. Don't do that. That's my advice in this situation.
Yes.
We're in the Nerve Control Centre and the 3 staff who are always there, they're talking about how HQ is still in lockdown and at alert condition 1. Yet there's no angels. They've killed the last one. So why are we still in this situation? What's going to happen? I mean, it's worrying, isn't it?
Yeah.
And also they haven't seen Mitsuko for a while, so they don't know what's happening with that. They don't know that she's been isolated and quarantined or whatever the word is.
Solitary confinement. She's in solitary confinement.
Because they're still in high alert and everything, and they think that the angels are finished and everything's done with, they're wondering what's going to happen to them and what's going to happen to Nerve, because technically, you know, their job is done. They've killed the angels. They don't need the Avas anymore. There's nothing to be protecting Tokyo 3 against. So what are they needed for? So this is all happening before the last 2 episodes, like you said. We cut to a scene of Masato in a car and she's contemplating what the project is and how the council will use the Avas to do it, because they don't want Adam and they don't want Nerve. And Kaji predicted everything. So she's like, you know what, Kaji, you are right. Well, to be fair, Kaji was doing all the sleuthing and the hacking and the...
Yeah, so all the snooping about, so he knows what's going down.
The Old Man Block Council are surrounding Gendo and the Deputy Commissioner. They're talking about how it is time to do the project, and with the spear gone and Lilith cannot be their instrumentality, only Ava 1 can do the job as he is Lilith's offspring. So they're talking about Gendo as well and that it will deviate from Seele's plan, or is it that because they're using Ava 1, that's going to deviate from Seele's plan? I don't know. It's a very confusing
meeting, yes. I know what's going on in the bigger picture.
Yes.
Some of the little finer details get a little bit like, but basically they can't, for reasons, they can't use Lilith to enact the Human Instrumentality Project and make the giant merge consciousness. They want to use Ava Unit 1 to set off the Instrumentality Project and turn them all into the giant one conscious.
As it is an offspring from Lilith.
Yes.
The only reason why they're giving birth to the Avas is because they got greedy and wanted to make other beings. Like you said, this whole time they're trying to play God, and it's like, well, that wasn't our job. Our job wasn't to be God, so we weren't here to create the Avas.
I think they wanted to create Avas to use to make the Instrumentality Project come in, but they didn't want to get the Avas to become their own thinking life forms. They weren't meant to have souls.
Gendo says the Avas will advance mankind to a new world. And Seele say, death to everything! Let's become one, yay!
Yeah.
Gendo does not agree with this. He doesn't want everything to end. He doesn't think everything should end. But then they say, death to Gendo.
Yeah.
His death is coming. So that's something he needs to think about. And then they vanish. So he needs to crack on with his plan now.
It's like, oh dear, time to advance everything.
The deputy commander says humanity finds meaning in the struggle for survival, and that's why she chose to stay in Unit 1. So I'm guessing that they mean Ui. So Ui's, and the interesting thing about that is he says she chose to stay there. So she didn't want to go back to her human form.
No. The implication is that the reason the thing that weird floating rectangle inside when they were trying to fish her out didn't work for her and work for Shinji is because she had, obviously with free will, she chose to stay being part of Ava Unit 1 because she knew that it would help guide humanity, and thus Shinji would help guide humanity, and therefore Shinji would have this bright future that she was talking about.
Yeah, this was a real mind boggler, this episode, because it's like, we're getting all the answers, but they're doing it in a really confusing way.
Oh, they never give you a straight answer. You have to kind of read in between the lines and reanalyze it, and then sometimes just go, screw it, I'm just going to interpret it how I do it, because one person's answer might not be the same as another person's answer.
Cut to Ray waking up in her room. We have a beautiful moonscape of the moon and the clouds, and it's really, really nicely drawn. You can tell this is definitely the film and not the series. She leaves, and we see Gendo's glasses are broken on the floor. Shinji's in bed with his headphones, but the music is finished and the battery is flashing, which means that he's just not really there.
Yeah.
He's kind of checked out mentally. We see Misato doing some hacking down in HQ, and she finds out the truth of the second impact. But before she can say it out loud so that the audience know what's happening, the alarms start going off. It's like,
Yeah.
"God damn it."
Doom! It's like that episode where the Magi was getting hacked all over again. It all gets very dramatic and like, oh no, they're hacking the Magi! Tappity, 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 loud music.
Well, at first she thinks it's her who set off the alarm. She's like,
Yeah.
oh no, they spotted me. Oh, nope, not me. Ha ha, got away with it again. So something else is setting off the alarms, not Misato. And it's that HQ has been cut off from communicating, and the deputy commander wonders if they're after the Magi. They, as in Seele.
Yeah.
Seele. Of course it's Seele. They've just told them that they're going to kill Gendo. Of course it's Seele. So it's been hacked. They have confirmed intrusions from Germany, China, and the US. And it's basically Seele is getting everyone together going, hey, let's attack them. Let's get them.
Yeah, so basically everybody is now joined forces to take down Nerve and Gendo.
Then we see Rasuko in her little confinement. And she's told that she needs to get to work. Off you go. Hey, you betrayed us, but we need you now. Off you go.
Still can be useful.
And she's annoyed at this, and she feels like she's being used again.
Yeah, even a woman who's been cast aside still has its uses.
Misato is ready and calls for updates. Tokyo 2 issued an A801. Tokyo 2? What's Tokyo 2?
The other
You know
Tokyo.
3? How many Tokyos are there?
3. One that was destroyed. The second one that was where the UN is, or where the, you know, where I was going to call him Jasper, but it's not Jasper. Arms. Get along program is at.
No, but carry on.
You know the Get Along program, the man-made robot that was going to fight the angels that went out of control. So Misato stops it, but actually it wasn't stopped. It was all just that had been hacked by their side to make the UN look like idiots that didn't have any weapons to use against the Avas.
Okay.
How do you forget all that? Remember? Unit 1 stops it. Misato goes inside it. Then just as it's got to, like, number 0...
Yeah, I got it. So much has happened. That was such a minor thing. Like,
Nothing is minor in Ava.
We haven't mentioned the damn thing again since, so I'm sorry if I forgot an episode.
But yeah.
Oh, man. This is why I write millions of notes. So Nerve has been stripped of its legal protection, and the Japanese government are assuming control of Nerve. They're going in there and they're sorting that out.
Oh, yeah. Dramatic music.
Oh, yeah. And she is updated about the hack. Ritsuko is in the code tunnel where they were when they were trying to sort out Casper, because that's where Casper lives. She's doing all the techie stuff to try and stop the hacking. And she's having a conversation with the Magi, or her mum.
Yeah.
And asking her mum basically if she's an idiot for helping Gendo. I mean, she is helping Gendo, but at the same time, she's trying to help all the people in Nerve HQ.
Yeah, exactly.
They're not evil, they're just doing their job. They don't know what's going on. As far as they're concerned, they're fighting angels and trying to save the world. But no, that's not what they're doing. They've all been misled. So they're all innocent. Misato is updated that things are getting better, but she knows there's more to this attack because they're kind of like, hey, things are going okay because Ritsuko is on the case. Yay. The deputy commander confirms this to Gendo, and it's likely they are after the Avas, as Gendo has Lilith and Adam.
Yeah.
So they don't want the godly figures. They want the things made by the godly figures.
The things that they think they can control to bring about their own destiny apocalypse.
Ritsuko stops the hack. Hooray! And it's safe for 62 hours. We have our time limits back. Hooray!
Yay!
We love a time limit. The old man block cancel. The council.
The console can't cope.
The old man block council aren't happy that this has happened, that they've managed to stop the hack. And they were always going to take over, but it turned out that they can't do it peacefully, so they're going to have to do it violently.
Yep.
They make it out like it's forcible, but it's violent. It's violent as hell.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah, it goes to full-on war.
Oh my goodness. We're outside and we're looking over the pretty water. Oh, everything's so pretty and lovely. Look at this water effect. Oh, enjoy it because everything's going to go downhill from here.
Like, but wait a minute. What's that in the bushes?
Scuttle, scuttle, scuttle.
Oh, ominous, ominous. Is that soldiers? Oh, no. Ground troops.
Yep, it's the army, and they've brought their tanks, and they've brought their cannons, and they've brought their choppers, and they're like, hey! The staff are confused by the attack as they're all humans, and they're like, hey, we're not angels. Why are you attacking us? And Makoto says they don't see it that way.
No.
So as far as the world is concerned, they are the monsters.
They are the bad guys.
Boom, bam, boom. I've written here because all the bombs, all the bullets, all the...
Oh my god. I mean, it's very impressive, like, warfare. Like, you've got, like, obviously the ground artillery troops. The bit that always, like, a lot of this sticks in my mind is you get the guy who's guarding the, like, gates, then someone sneaks up behind him, stabs him, and he slowly starts bleeding out, and then all the shutters raise, and you're like, Jesus Christ, they've definitely been planning this all along. Because that's not just a little infantry unit, that's not just a little invasion, that's the full might of the combined military descending on this place and just ripping it to shreds. And these are trained military professionals, trained in warfare, because they have no qualms about killing other people.
Everything is violent. They infiltrate by killing and bombs and whatever way they can. Masato thinks they are after the Ava pilots and instructs to keep Shinji safe in Ava 1. They put Asuka in Unit 2, even though she's still comatose. But it's safer than being in her medical bed. So they will hide Unit 2 under the lake. They're like, quick, shove them under there. She'll be fine for a little bit because there's a time limit, so quick.
Yeah.
They can't find Rei, however. After Rei went out of her room for her little midnight stroll, we don't know where she's gone. We can find out right now. So
yeah.
We see I should read ahead. Oh, crap. So we see someone, and we assume it's Rei, because the way it's drawn, it's not Rei features. It's just kind of a girl with short hair floating. But
and you can see Rei's uniform as well.
Well, you just see folded up clothes. You can't see it's a uniform. But
you can see it's got the colours. It's got the same colour shoes she wears, and it's her dress.
They say we can't find Rei, and it cuts to this scene, so you assume it's Rei.
Rei floating in a blob.
Well, she seems to be in the pit where they put all the old Avas.
Yeah.
But she's floating, she's all lit up, and at this point we don't know why. We don't know what's happening.
We're kind of like, she's in what used to be the old graveyard, but it's all being filled up with fluid. So everything's kind of dissolved into that kind of primordial goo, and she's now floating in it, communicating with the spirits of the dead.
Oh, communicating.
I'm just making that up, but she could be.
Well, with the way that this goes, I could totally see that, but I'll get onto that in a minute. They move Unit 2. They want to move Unit 1, but Shinji is hiding. They're like, where is Shinji? And he's hiding. He's huddled up somewhere.
He's being Shinji.
Yeah.
Like,
he's
regressed after all he, like, leaps and bounds he came during the course of the series. He is back to how he was before, but even worse.
Scumbag now. You can add scumbag to that list. Everything goes into lockdown, but is immediately breached. All the doors shut and then just boom, boom, boom. Oh, no, useless. Gendo asks the deputy commander if he'll take over from him, and he agrees because he knows what Gendo is off to do because it's time. And he says, give my best to Ui. More bombs, more bangs. The staff think the humans are more savage than the angels, which they are. Angels weren't going around shooting people in the face.
Yeah, and weren't actually targeting humans. They were just trying to get home to Adam. Yeah, people got destroyed and collateral damage, but they weren't purposely going out of their way to kill people.
But that's it. If the Avas hadn't have attacked, the angel would have just got there on its own, sort of thing. Like, it wouldn't have started destroying the buildings and stuff.
No,
buildings did get destroyed because they're big and clumsy. It's like, oops, sorry. It wasn't, like you say, it wasn't intending to do that. Masato thinks this is due to their side not used to killing humans. So, thus far, NERV have not targeted human people. They've just been targeting these things that they consider to be evil, giant monster things.
Yeah, they are not trained for human warfare.
Humans killing humans, they're not used to that, and that's why they consider this more evil than what they were doing to the angels. But if you actually know the truth about the angels, actually, it's kind of the same thing. because whereas the government are killing all these people who think they're doing good, NERV were killing angels who weren't doing anything bad, like, you know, and the angels were doing good in some ways, like when that one was trying to open up Asuka's heart. It wasn't doing anything bad, it was helping her in a way, you know, comes to terms with who she is and her past and everything. But you know, you see things how you want to see things.
Yeah.
And if you're told something enough, then you're going to believe it, aren't you?
Yeah. And we fear what we don't understand. It's
Yeah.
just human nature.
The army is killing without mercy. They're just, it doesn't matter if someone's attacking them or not, they're just shooting at them.
Yeah, it's total annihilation.
They're taking over very quickly. Misato wants to save as many people as possible, so they flood the floors above. And it looks like blood, but because it's like this red gooey stuff.
Yeah, bakelite. And I don't know what bakelite is. I'm assuming it's something made up for this. But I think it's the stuff that they squirt all over the Ava that crystallizes hard so it can't move about. But they're squirting it everywhere. So once it goes from liquid, it will go to a solid. And therefore you can't dig your way through it.
It's kind of horrific to watch it because as they're filling the rooms up with this stuff that looks like blood, it's like covering over all the dead bodies. So it just looks like a sea of blood with bodies in it. It's not pleasant at all. But they're saying that now that they've flooded everything, they can't get to Shinji because the floors are being blocked. Shinji's still huddled up alone. Misato says if people can't escape, they should surrender. And she's asked Makoto to take over because he's her little second and they have a nice little relationship. She trusts him. So she like loads up her gun and runs off. So she's obviously going to get Shinji because that's what matters at this point.
Yep.
So the staff prepare their guns and they start to wonder if the defense budget was low as this attack was always planned.
Yeah, like they literally, their infiltration defense budget was slashed. So they were saying, oh, that's why they cut the infiltration defense budget. So they didn't get their training for this situation or any way to prevent this kind of situation. And it's because, the government was always planning on infiltrating and taking them out and taking over.
The console area is breached and Maya is freaking out about killing someone. Like she's, as you just said, they've not been trained. She's done gun training, but she hasn't learned to shoot at another human. So she's absolutely traumatized that she's going to have to do this. Then we get a screen that says episode 25. Love is destructive. Episode 25?
Well, it's got 25 dash, so it's kind of like this is the beginning of episode 25 that leads into the real 25. This is what should have been. This is what's happening in the real time for episode 25.
Got it. That makes sense. So it's in parallel with 25 and 26.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Well, no, 26 is when they turn on the instrumentality project. So this is parallel to episode 25 when we were just seeing Shinji trying to work out he spent the whole episode in his head trying to work out his feelings towards killing Kaoru.
Great posing bodies in it. And Gendo comes in and tells her it is time. Upstairs, everything's been taken over. More bodies. Even the people who are surrendering are being killed. So Misato's plan is not working.
No.
Of, hey, just give yourself up. It'll all be all right. No. So you see like this poor person put their hands up and get shot in the face. And then just to make sure they're there, they get shot 2 more times. And I know that's how you're trained in the army to do it. But oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Brutal. Absolute brutality. An order is given to kill the Ava pilots on site. And they find Shinji. They find him huddled up and he doesn't move. He doesn't do anything because he's given up at this point. And the army guy goes, no hard feelings. He goes to shoot him, but then Misato comes flying out and boom, boom, bang, bang. She gets them all.
Yeah.
Just before she kills one of them, she's like, no hard feelings, bang.
I know, she is such a badass scene.
It's that classic action hero fight, like cocky final line before you kill someone, like the Arnold Schwarzenegger trope.
It was very badass. She's awesome. And the look on her face and the whole like, no hard feelings. And I'm like, you tell her, Misato, you shoot those dicks.
After killing them, she tells Shinji that they're going to Unit 1. And Misato is listening to a message that they have the purple one and they can't find the red one. So we assume they're talking about Avas.
Yeah.
The purple one. So the purple one is Unit 1.
Yes.
Yes, good. Because at first I thought they meant Unit 0 because obviously Ray's not there and it'll be easy to get. However, Unit 0 is blue.
And also completely destroyed.
Oh, yeah, it was destroyed, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That's right, because they got rid of everything. Yeah, so there's only 2 Avas left.
Yeah.
That makes sense then. So yeah, so they got Unit 1 and they can't find Unit 2 because Unit 2 is hiding under the lake. So because they've now got Unit 1, it's going to be harder to get Shinji to it because it's obviously surrounded and protected and they're going to look out for Shinji.
Yeah.
Shinji is very unresponsive to everything and Misato gets harsh to him saying that he can run, he can be a baby and throw tantrums, but he's getting in Unit 1.
Yeah. It's
Stop
like,
doing this.
just suck it up. You do this all the time, Shinji. Just get in the robot, Shinji.
So Shinji
Which-
says he wants to...
I will show you the joke for getting the robot Shinji later, but anyone who's seen Ava will know that get in the robot Shinji.
But Shinji wants to die. He's given up. He's like, it's better if I can die. Misato refuses to give up on him. Back in the comm room, there is a gun war. It just pew, 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 pew. It's like these poor people have been sitting here for ages just shooting back and forth. But what they're finding is that the army who are shooting are being quite careful about it, because they obviously need to keep everything as it is so that they can infiltrate and look into it. And
also, as I say,
the Magi is working.
The original Magi is what's in them, so it's the original, and they can't destroy the original because it's the one that all other systems were based on, so they need to keep it because it's got all the secret notes and all the secrets of how to work it and everything.
So technically that room is the safest place to be right now, because yes, they're being shot at. However, if they hide, unless they come up to them, they can't be got because they can't
damage the Magi. Yeah.
No. So yeah, they're kind of in the safest place right now. I don't think they agree with that, but considering what's going on in everywhere else,
They're alive. It's the more they can be said than most of the employees in the building now.
A missile is dropped on the lake, and the deputy commander says that was careless of them. I'm guessing because dropping that, you don't know what's going to get destroyed doing that. You don't know what's going to get hit, and also they dropped it on the lake. That's where Unit 2 is. So it's like you could have destroyed Unit 2. Maya is now wondering why they want the Ava so badly, because they're still not being told what's happening. They're just assuming that they're being attacked. Misoto's voice can be heard now, and she's explaining that they want the Avas to cause the third impact without an angel. The second impact was caused by man putting Adam back into his fetus state before the other angels could stop them. It was all they could do to keep damage to a minimum. And then we realise that she's talking to Shinji at this point. So she's not telling the staff, she's telling
Shinji.
And the images, because she's driving, I don't know if she's driving or if she's just in a lift or something, but they're going through like these things like with spines and stuff. Is it the old Avas?
Yeah. All the heads look like Ava Unit 0.
Okay, so it's all the old Avas, yeah.
So the ones that we saw in the graveyard have obviously been removed and strung up, and then Rei had a little swim in the graveyard, and now Rei went to look at her decomposing bodies before Gendo found her. Rei's having a magical journey. It's like, I'm just going to float in this lake of goo, which is a graveyard. Now I'm going to go look at my destroyed bodies and my floating bits of intestine going past.
Misato tells Shinji that humans come from Lilith, so humans are the 18th angel, and other angels were other possibilities of other humanity. Yeah. Evolutions, yes. But they were free from form.
Yes.
But we all couldn't coexist, so...
So basically, so the first impact was the thing that wiped out the dinosaurs. Humanity kind of grew up. They're using things as predicted by the Dead Sea Scrolls. So imagine the stories of the Bible, but the stories of the Bible happened in... the year, because it's 2014, 2015, year 2000. So, the Garden of Eden is there, and they find Adam. Well, Adam's being created by God and all the other angels, but angels are freeform, so they can take on any shape they want. And humanity comes along, and it's just like, yeah, let's poke this thing. Oh no, we shouldn't have poked this thing. Let's put it back in its thing. And we don't want these weird formless beings, because we want to be like God's chosen. So they cause the second impact. Then it turns out that humans are the offspring of Lilith. And you know how I said that Lilith was the mother of monsters? If you look at the acts humans have been committing, even in the last 20 minutes, you kind of start to go, who is the bigger humans? The angels that were just trying to go home, or humanity? So the angels were the offspring of Adam. So it's kind of like an alternate to us now. Like, Adam and Eve had us and we were nice. This is kind of like, no. Adam and Lilith had humanity. Humanity were monsters and jealous and went out to try and destroy the angels so they could own the earth to themselves, and kind of smushed Adam back into an embryo so that he couldn't create any more beings to share the planet. And then humanity was like, oh, do you know what else we can do with this Adam? We can mess up the system and turn ourselves into gods, because humans are monsters.
Misato tells Shinji that he has to destroy the Ava series for survival. So these new Avas that have been built, they need to be destroyed. They cannot be around, because otherwise they will get everything. Because the Avas that they have are powerful, Imagine having ones that have no pilots inside them.
Yes. So yeah, the Avas are made out of Adam's DNA, so they closely resemble the free-form angels. It's why they've kind of got human form, because they've been smushed. The restraints are keeping their form, but actually they're formless beings that could be anything. But they've got souls of humans inside them, which means that they end up being another life form created by man. So that's why they're Avas, they're Eve. So because they were created from Adam, who's obviously the father of mankind, but mankind is actually the angels. Avas are Eve, created from angel DNA.
So way back when I said that the Avas were Eve, I was right.
Yep.
Yay, go me!
Yep. They're Eve, but they're also the two Avas, 1 and 2, are sentient. They have souls inside them. The next ones that are being produced. And do you remember when the episode when they said that the Avas were made by cannibalizing angels?
Yes.
So Avas 3 and 4 were made from the angels that had been previously defeated in battle. And there's also, like, they would have also had human souls, which I'll explain who the human souls are later, because we haven't got to that bit. But the new Avas that have been created have S2 drives, but they don't have the human souls in them. They are just things that have been created using the DNA of Adam and humanity. So this is 6 to 13.
But how can they create Avas from angels that they defeated when all the angels were obliterated? Like, they were nothing after they were destroyed.
Some of them have bits and pieces left behind, and you see not all of them got totally. Some of them got, like,
well, the one that Ava 1 ripped apart, that one was everywhere.
Yeah, but also Ava Unit 6, which is the one that Sele created, they then cloned Ava Unit 6, which is why they all look the same. So they didn't create individual ones, they just used whatever scrap parts of angels that got destroyed and Adam DNA, whatever they had left, to make 6 that doesn't need a pilot or a dummy system or a soul or a heart, and then they cloned that.
So then we go to an office. Can you tell what the office is? Because the subtitles were up, but there was nothing to explain what it was. Well, it's a discussion that a guy and a woman are having about not being happy with Nerve and the Human Instrumentality Project, and they were discussing what to do with Nerve and HQ, and they decided to let it rot like old Tokyo.
I'm just assuming it's one of the offices that belong to Sele.
So I didn't even think it was Sele. I thought it was just like the government. Like
it could have been the government. Yeah, it could have been the government. So much going on. It was just it was another people that hate Nerve and want them to just rot and disappear.
Yeah, because like I say, there was title of where it was, but nothing came up to say what it was in English. So even with the subtitles on, it wouldn't tell me. So
no.
I don't know. The army recap, they have Nerve and the purple one. They know where Unit 2 is now, but they don't know that Asuka is inside. So they're saying, like, well, where's the pilot? She's there. Asuka awakes and she's surprised that she's alive. They're always surprised they're alive.
But do you remember that bit when you see her in the real world in episode 25 where she wakes up and she goes, how did I get back in the A? They must have forced me in here.
Ah, is that from this?
Yeah.
Bombs are being dropped on top of her and she is scared, as you would be, to just suddenly wake up from a coma and go, hey, I'm in the Ava. Ah, bombs!
Yep.
You don't have a clue what's going on. And she just keeps repeating, I don't want to die, I don't want to die, I don't want to die. Now, this is a really crucial part for Asuka, because then her voice starts speaking back to her saying, you won't die. I won't let you die. You mustn't die, not yet. And then there is another voice of her mother that says, die with me. But then she screams and she says, I don't want to die. And then there's all these images of corpses and the child Asuka and
all
the
the maggots.
doll. Yeah.
I was like, yeah, that's such a brief flash. And I'm like, oh, God.
Yeah, it's awful. And there's all these horrible flashes of her childhood go in front of her. And then it cuts to a nice peaceful place by the water. And Asuka's mum is there. And Asuka says, Mummy, you were here. They hold hands. And in the real world, Ava 2 produces a huge cross beam of light. And it emerges from the lake. So we saw that in the very first episode. And we've seen it a couple of times. But like going back to that.
Extra confirm that Avas are made with angel DNA.
So now Ava 2 has awoken.
Yep.
And it picks up the warship that is above it on the water, uses it as a shield, and then throws the ship. Asuka says, Mother, I understand now. So we've got Asuka back. She's, yay.
Yes.
And what she realizes is that her mother, like Shinji's mother, is with her inside the Ava.
Yes.
also she realized that the AT field was her mother protecting her.
Yes.
So this is kind of a symbolization of AT field equals love sort of thing.
Yes.
So
Right, yeah, because AT fields are meant to be your individual space and your individual kind of like area and a projection of your soul and the things that you keep most intimate to you. And obviously a mother's love is very intimate and intrinsic to who you are as a being. So you don't normally share your AT field, but you can if you're an Ava, because you can manipulate it to use it to protect you. And also, yeah, we find out that Avas have the souls of their mothers in them.
if Asuka's mother killed herself, how is her soul inside the Ava?
Right, so I was thinking about this to try and work out the timelines, because I was like, but she found out that she was... But then I suppose Yui... Also, that the Avas were created first and then the souls were implanted in them. And that's what the cores are. The cores are a physical manifestation of their souls. So after they die, they've trapped their souls and they implant them into the Avas to give the Avas their souls that kind of locked inside until you can open your heart to your Ava and therefore you can resonate with the soul and bring out your full potential and your full power. They're obviously slightly different from 00 because that didn't have a mother's soul in it because Rei herself was an angel. So she didn't need a soul in her unit. And it was also the prototype, hence why you see so many dead broken ones. It wasn't until they realised that they started shoving traumatised mothers into it, which is why Toji became the pilot. And it's assumed that his mother's soul would be in that. But it could have been any one of those kids. Because if you actually go back and listen to it, you realise that a lot of them talk about their fathers or their siblings, but no one really mentions mothers in it. And then remember when Ida was saying that his mum's also like dead, like Shinji's? He could have become a pilot because somewhere there's a core with his mum's soul on it ready to put in it. It was Toji was the one that was called up.
It's so sad.
Yeah. That's why they chose these kids. These kids all have dead mothers. But
Asuka's elated. She's so happy about it that she's finally found her mother again and she wasn't abandoned.
Yes.
The mum's been with her the whole time.
Yeah, and is looking at her and watching her.
And it's just really funny that she's having this wonderful realisation whilst destroying the army. She's like, Mum, you're here, smash. Mum, I love you, smash.
Yay, Mummy! Deaf.
Masato is told that Ava 2 has activated and Asuka is alive. Shinji hears this, but doesn't bring him out of his self-loathing.
Still being Shinji.
The army is ordered to sever the cable because that is the Ava's power source. And then this gives off the 5-minute timer because they've only got 5 minutes of power. Asuka doesn't care, as she's got 12,000 layers of special armor. Yeah. Me. So time limit be damned. I'm gonna do what I can in a small amount of time. And also she's got her AT field, so she's like, me and Mum are gonna do this. We're gonna be the heroes. Yeah. She kicks ass and is left looking out from the carnage she has created. And it was a really nice image of like all the smoke and flames around Ava 2. The All Man Block Council are annoyed that Ava 2 is broken and is kicking ass. So they will fight evil with evil.
Yeah.
See, in the subtitles, they're fire with fire, but in the dub it says evil with evil.
No, it's fire with fire, which makes more sense because I don't know, the Avas aren't exactly evil. They're just...
No, but see, they have always called them evil. They think they're abominations.
They do think they're abominations, so they're going to fight their abominations with their own abominations.
And the planes fire overhead, and they drop what looks like the Avas, and there's 9 of them.
Yeah, that's Ava Unit 6.
All of them.
Yeah, well, they're
and
on clones,
they have wings.
Yeah.
They have wings now, and they can glide. And they're circling around Ava 2 and HQ, which is really ominous.
Those things creep me out. Oh, I hate
horrible.
them. I hate Unit 2 so much. Not Unit 2, Unit 6 so much. I hate its creepy little face and its weird mismatched teeth and its weird creepy smiles. I hate them.
Everyone is surprised that they were completed, like the Ava series, because they're like, oh my gosh, it's already done. So they obviously didn't think it would be that quick. The deputy commander is shocked as they all have S2 drives. He's surprised they were all deployed. And he says, do they mean to set it off now? He's now predicting that their plan is going to start along with Gendo's plan. The Avas land, retract their wings, but show their teeth.
I know. Gross. I hate their gross mouths.
It's that thing again of not having any lips, just teeth. Because they're such human teeth as well.
Yeah.
And also, they have the added advantage of they have no umbilical cables. So they can freely move about and not worry about their power. Misato seems to have crashed her car, it looks like, and she's on the phone to Asuka saying that she needs to destroy the Ava series. They need to get rid of them to help survival. She then switches the phone over to Makoto and asking, can they get to Unit 1 because everything's closed off and everything's being attacked. So Makoto says that Route 20 is secure for them for 3 minutes, another time limit. And so they need to get Shinji to Unit 1. He's huddled at the side of the car. He's still not wanting to be here. So Misato is done with this bull. Just walks over, grabs him and just drags him off.
Yeah.
He's like, come on.
It's like, this is no time, Shinji. Just,
Stop with your self-loathing. Asuka is excited about this challenge of having to kill all the Avas in less than 4 minutes.
She's got 20 seconds each.
Yep, they've got 20 seconds each, and she's saying, like, this is a good challenge after coming out of an emotional coma. So,
time of her life she's having now.
She'd still be proud of it, but she's been rejuvenated with the love of her mother, knowing that she's there. She charges, brutally killing one of the Avas by taking its head off and cracking it like a walnut. Misato drags Shinji to the emergency elevator where they are ambushed, and she pushes him in quickly. We hear that the area they are in will be demolished, so they need to evacuate. The army are getting out of there, but obviously Misato and Shinji can't because Shinji needs to get to Ava 1. Misato has been hit, but she gives Shinji a pep talk anyway. She's suffering, but she's like, no, now's the time to get Shinji back on track. She's telling him that he's now on his own and he has to make his own decisions because she can't go with him. So he needs to make this choice of getting in the Ava and helping wherever he can. He disagrees as he thinks he's worthless. He doesn't deserve to be an Ava pilot as he has done horrible things to Asuka and killed Karu. He thinks all he does is hurt people and he is a coward. Good.
Yeah.
Great. Misato doesn't care. He can either curl up and die or fight, basically. She needs to show him how serious this is, but she still cares. She understands as he hates himself, he hurts others. And by hurting others, he's hurting himself. Yeah. Because he feels like he deserves that hurt.
There's that whole thing of like, he hates himself, so he's purposely horrible to other people and hurts them to push them away. And by pushing them away, that only hurts himself further.
However, what he did to Asuka, she won't know about unless he tells her. So she needs him to make the right decision. And he shouts at her saying that she's a stranger and she doesn't know him. This pisses her off. Yeah. She's like, how dare you? She says if he does nothing, she will never forgive him and she will curse his name. She says that there is a cycle of false elation and self-loathing, but he can move on from that because that's what she was going through. That's exactly how she lived her life. So she knows that because she was able to move on slowly, hopefully he can do that too. She tells him to get closure as an Ava pilot and figure out what it is he is meant to do and that he has to come back. She gives him her cross, like a kind of promise that he'll come back, and he agrees. And then she kisses him.
Yeah.
Very long kiss.
Yes.
Very intimate kiss.
Well, she does say that's how adults kiss.
She does. And she says there's more of that when you get back. And it's hard because it's gone from this motherly love to a promise of sexy times if he survives. And it's like,
yeah, but she knows that that's never going to happen. She knows she's about to die.
Yeah.
So it's a promise to a teenage boy to give him something. She didn't know what else to give him. Like, Shinji's rejected her maternal side, and she realizes that she can't be Shinji's mother because he's still messed up about that whole situation. So the comfort that she can give him in this moment is the comfort as an adult woman. Right? It's her only card left to play. It's a bit icky, but at the same time, she couldn't think of anything else. She couldn't give him any other reason to live. So the only reason to live she could think of was, when you come back, maybe we could have a relationship or sexy times and stuff. Because, she knows she's about to die and she needs to give him something.
She knows she's about to die, but he kind of knows it too.
He's seen the bleeding wound.
It's never going to happen.
She hopes they can inspire something in him, some life.
Well, she ends it by pushing him into the lift and the door shuts. And as it shuts, she collapses to the floor. And this is kind of the image we see in that last episode where she's lying on the ground with the blood splatter. So this explains how her life ends. And she says, if I had known this would happen, I'd have got new carpets like Asuka said. And then she says, right, Pen Pen? It's like, Pen Pen's in her mind before she dies.
Yeah.
Oh, and then we start to see the blood flowing quicker out of her and the pool of blood is getting bigger. And she asks Kaji if she did the right thing. And it's like, Kaji's the last thing she thinks of. Pen Pen and Kaji. And then we see a very quick image of Rei looking over Misato. And then you saying about Rei speaking to spirits, this kind of gives the impression that she's the angel of death. I'll explain why this is later on as well. But yeah, Rei is suddenly there looking at Misato, and just before we can even register that that's Rei, there's an explosion, and the demolition that they were talking about, that's what that is. They're getting rid of that area. Misato is dead.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
I know, emotional.
Yeah, and I said to you, hey, that's where we'll stop it for this episode. And you went, no, there is a natural stopping point. Let's keep going. I was like, oh no.
And then I realised that, oh God, she hasn't even got to the bit that traumatised me for years.
Oh no. Well, here it comes. So Shinji tries to wipe away his tears when he's moving down the lift, and then he sees the blood on his hands, which is obviously Misato's blood, and then he breaks down into huge tears because he knows what's happened. He knows what's happening as he's going down in that lift. Back to Asuka kicking Seria's butt. And we have the lovely, beautiful music behind.
Yeah.
Like we had in the other episode. So it's like a dance of carnage.
Yep, and she's kicking ass, and she is being amazing, and she has opened her heart fully to her Ava and accepted who she is, and it's beautiful and hardcore. Then she's starting to look a little bit slightly scary.
Like Shinji did when he got into that frame of mind as well.
Yeah. Also, I also love the animation for this. I love the movement and the way you see her hair. So you know that she's just not piloting it. She's putting her everything into this fight. The animation, I love it. I love that movement of hair around the cockpit.
And then Shinji is inside the HQ. And we get the feeling that he can kind of hear Asuka because it's not a voiceover. It's like an echoed voiceover, as if he's hearing something distant. And he basically hears her saying, trust stupid idiot Shinji to let you down, sort of thing. But what he's doing is he's looking at Ava 1. It's covered in this goo that has solidified. And it's like, well, Ava 1's trapped. How's he supposed to get into it?
Yeah.
That's it for him. He's like, well, what can I do? I'm not getting in there anytime soon. Rei and Gendo are still looking at the crucified Lilith. Ritsuko is sitting next to Lilith. And she sat on this little ledge bit where there's the fluid. And she's been waiting for them. And then she stands up and she pulls out a gun and she aims it at them. Asuka's still kill crazy. So this is like spliced in images. Then Ritsuko says she made changes to the Magi and asks her mother to die with her. She then presses a button and she waits. But nothing happens. And she checks and Casper is refusing. So her mother is choosing Gendo over her.
I know, heartbreaking.
And that is really sad.
Yeah, she thought that she was going to blow it all up, kill them all, get her revenge and stop it all. And then her mother's like, no, I don't want Gendo to die, so I'm going to override your rules.
And then Gendo pulls out a gun, aims it at Ritsuko and says, Ritsuko Akagi, I really did... ... So you assume that he was going to say, loved you?
Yeah.
But that he doesn't say anything, and she just says, liar.
I mean, you see his mouth moves, but I can't lip read. It looks longer than I love you, but he says something to her and she's like, yeah, no, liar.
And then he shoots her and she falls into the liquid. And that's the shot that we get in the other episode. However, in the other episode, the bullet wound was in her back.
Yeah.
And
this was made afterwards.
Back on what you've done.
Yeah, well, they got some of the bullet positions a bit wrong. I forgive them just because, this came out, to me was like 2 years after I saw the ending. So I was just like...
In this day and age, continuity is everything, I'm afraid.
Yes, this day and age, this was 25 years ago, woman.
Right, well, redo it. All you have to do is turn around. That's all you got. Just take the seal, whatever it is, and then flip it round.
Yeah,
and then there you go.
Well, yeah. I mean,
that easy, people.
Maybe he double taps later, and when she's floating about, he shoots her in the back again because he gets angry.
Possibly, we don't know. But as she's falling, she sees Rei again. And we know it's not the Rei that's there in front of her because Rei is wearing a school uniform in what she sees, but Rei stood there is naked. So we know that this is a different thing that she's seen. Hence, Rei's there when Ritsuko dies. Rei is there when Misato dies. Angel of Death! She's there when people die. So, yep, definitely. Mom's room. They are still being shot at.
Oh, poor
and
guys.
Asuka has less than a minute of power left, so they're panicking. And Asuka, with bloodlust, won't back down. She's like, Mum is watching. We're gonna do this, Mum. Come on. Shinji starts thinking of his own mother because he can hear Asuka talking about her mum. Asuka is finally killing the last Ava, and she punches through one Ava into another Ava, and she's holding its core in her hand, and she's trying to squeeze it. And like the time is on like 10 seconds, and she's really trying hard to squish this thing. But then we see a sword has been thrown at her and it's coming towards her, and she manages to stop it with the AT field. But the sword turns into the spear of Longinus, and she's shocked because, as far as we were concerned, it was in space. So what is it doing here? It manages to get through her AT field
Because the
into.
The Lance of Longinus is the only thing that can pierce an AT field.
Through doing that, it ends up in a... And Asuka feels this, and then the power goes out. So she's lying there in a powerless Ava with a sword in the eye, and everything's dark, and she just wants it to get out. But even though she's in this immense amount of pain, she just wants to carry on and fight. However, the dead Avas come back to life.
Oh, it's so creepy.
Oh, it's creepy and frustrating.
Oh, yeah.
Like, she did all that work. She spent the last 5 minutes of power fighting these Avas, doing the most amazing work she has ever done.
Beating them all, and it turns out that they can all regenerate.
It's so horrible. That's the point where your stomach kind of goes, oh no. That's it. She's powerless.
My stomach sank when I first watched it. I was like, oh no, I don't know what's happening, but this is not good. I kept thinking, don't worry, Shinji's going to turn up any minute. Shinji's going to turn up any minute.
Ava 2 has been skewered into the ground with the spear, powerless, can't do anything, and poor Asuka is inside, still alive. And then, like vultures, all the evil Avas spread their wings, go up in the air, and then descend upon Ava 2 and disembowel it. And Asuka feels everything. It's a really graphic scene of them pulling out all the entrails of Ava 2, and poor Asuka is clutching her stomach and she's clutching her head, and she's just in the most amount of pain and can't do anything about it. She can't run away. She can't get the Ava to up and walk. She just has to sit there and be powerless against it.
And Control can't even cut her nerve connections to give her a minute of peace. There's just no hope. Most horrific scene.
Well, it gets even worse. So they finally go off and leave her, and they're all circling above her.
Oh, it's the way they fly off, pulling all the guts out and then dropping them. Ugh.
But she is mad at this point. She's like, I will kill you. And she is looking up at them, circling her, and she's pushing her hand up, and she just keeps saying, I'll kill you, I'll kill you, I'll kill you. And then they all throw their spears at Ava 2, and we see Asuka's hand and arm cut in half, and it's like, oh, Asuka.
What's interesting is, obviously, she thought a Lance of Longinus has got through an AT field and skewered her. All their weird sword blades they've got all morph into Lance of Longinus's. But the Lance of Longinus is still floating in space. So somehow, it's not only has Sele managed to clone and recreate this AV Unit 6, it's managed to recreate a Lance of Longinus type weapon.
It's just so sad.
Oh, God, yeah. It's so graphic, especially you see everything. It's
graphic, and it's not she didn't deserve to die like that. She didn't deserve that end for her.
No, it wasn't a heroic death.
No, it wasn't heroic. Well, it started off being a heroic death. I mean, she was heroic in the way that she never gave up. Yeah. Even disemboweled and no eye, she still wants to fight, and she still wants to get them. She just unfortunately had no way of doing that. And so they all just pinned her down, and she was a sitting target, and they just got her. Shinji says there's nothing he can do. We are all massively mad at Shinji right now.
Yeah.
While he's out there, the room starts to shake, and the goo cracks, and Ava 1 is alive. And it smashes its hand to where Ava is. Not Ava, to where Shinji is. And he asks, Mother? And he's like, yes, your mother is awake, and she's mad at you. Get inside.
Yeah.
Shinji Ikari, get in this Ava right now. You have work to do, young man. So Gendo realizes that Unit 1 must have activated because they can hear all the rumblings going on. And like Ava 2, a giant cross appears from HQ. That is Ava 1. The army men call it the evil incarnate, because that's what they've been taught to think, that these things are evil. It emerges with a kick-ass light wings coming out of the back, and it's like, and it's mad, and it wants its revenge. It's ready. But then Shinji sees a totally destroyed, picked apart Ava 2. And as the world looks like the apocalypse, we hear a Shinji scream.
The Shinji scream. Oh, that I don't know what it sounds like in the dub, but the Japanese version, I've never heard anything like it. It is so high and blood-curdling and just absolutely destroyed. And it's just all the images of all the bits of mutilated Ava 2, and just holy moly, and you're sick in your stomach.
It's horrendous, and you can't blame Shinji. Although Shinji will now hate himself for this, because he should have got there sooner to help her. So that's the end of part 1 of the film, and that's where we will leave it for this podcast, and we'll do part 2 next time.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to watch it until we do the podcast, because I like to, like I say, I like having the reaction in the actual podcast. But
and I'm not going to rewatch it.
No, I really want to
Until
watch it. I'm like, I need to know what happens. But no, I will wait until our podcast.
Yeah.
Oh, what an emotional roller coaster. Oh.
Yeah. I mean, it's nice having some physical answers, but at the same time, it's just the sheer volume and death, and just horrific deaths. There's nothing happy. There's no hero moment. Like traditional storytelling, you have the hero moment, and this is not the hero's journey. This is not like this. There isn't that triumph over adversity type feel, and this is just carnage and waste and war, and there's nothing positive happening here.
Main heroes for me at this point are the mothers, because they are the ones who are kind of getting their children to realise their potential and why they're there. So they, for me, at the moment, are the heroes of this story.
Yeah, it is not a story about heroes.
Yeah, it's all horrific right now. Everything looks bleak. And to be honest, at this point, Shinji has lost Misato, he's lost Asuka, he's lost Ritsuko, Kaji's dead. It's like, do you really want to live in a world where all these people are dead? Do you really want to save humanity if it's this bad? I suppose that's something Shinji needs to figure out.
Yeah.
But how can we cheer ourselves up, Lizzie? What things have you been watching, looking at, playing, talking about, talking to, talking with, talking from? How's your cat?
Finally gone for a nap and not being a menace, because she likes to be a menace during podcasting time. I'm just watching the same things I've been watching all along. I haven't really finished anything new. I'm still playing Bloodborne. I'm still making my way through the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe because I felt like rewatching it all. Not much else going on.
I'm super excited because Desperate Housewives is now free on Prime. Yay! I can watch all my Desperate Housewives. Social media.
I'm too heartbroken to think of a good way for social media. My social media is coming in on a sea of warfare. It's like bam! Totally sounds like war.
Totally, yes. In that case, my social media will sweep away your total warfare. Doopy-doopy-doo, sweep it away, put it under the rug, doesn't belong here. Bye-bye. Doopy-doo. Never was here. There we go. Everything's fine.
It's all right. The world is okay.
The world will be fine.
Yeah.
Eventually.
Well, for now, this is a weeaboo saying Jane.
And a newbie saying, it's the end of the world as we know it. Or is it?